right, so welcome to the final review of the evening and indeed the season with Wadget Eye's Unavowed. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Wadget Eye Games, they are a company that produces adventure games of the point-and-click variety.
These are the people who did what was it called?
Well, we've featured several of their games on the program. The last one we reviewed was Shardlight, and that was a few years ago.
Yeah, that was the one that I got that and played it to completion and really enjoyed it.
Like now, Unavowed is the latest creation of the studio head Dave Gilbert, who has been working on this particular project for 3 years, which might be a record for the company in terms of development time. Indeed, in terms of the creation tools and the engine, the adventure game studio, this is actually a big tour de force, like in a lot of ways. First of all, you may not be able to tell from the window we got on display here because, you know, we shrink the footage and put it in the corner for various reasons, but the resolution of this is double your typical AGS game.
Yeah, and they do like the old style of adventure game usually that has they do the art of it well, but the resolution is it's a very small screen usually.
Yeah, usually. This is like 640 by 480 if I'm recalling correctly.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Which is double like the 320 by 480 or 240.
240, yeah.
Yeah, there we go, 240. That's Wadget Eye games usually come in. And on top of that, this game is actually doing things different mechanically. It's doing a lot of things different than your typical Wadget Eye experience. This game was influenced a lot by, of all things, Dragon Age. So there's a lot of BioWare influence here.
With dialogue trees and stuff, or
not just that, but so in a radical departure from previous games, both developed and published, you don't play as a character, so to speak, or that is, you can build your own.
Oh, it's a cipher that you get to impart your own character onto.
Yes, let's go with that. There
are male and female character options, and
yeah, you can be a male or a female character. You can be of 3 character types: a police, a bartender, and I'm trying to remember the third one.
Actor.
There we go. So yeah, there's, instead of playing a rogue character, you're playing a character type. Honestly, if I compare it to anything in the adventure game circle, it reminds me of the Quest for Glory games. That is a game series where you got to choose your class, and the game was centered around that. And mind you, this game isn't that fucking expansive, but for a Wadget Eye game, this is a lot more open-ended than expected. And compounding on that is you've got companion characters. You've got, at the beginning of the game, Eli and Mandana, and you've got an X amount of companion characters coming in the future. I can't really talk about that more because that would get into spoilers. Yeah, there's
this is a game that has a plot of the type that is better off not being spoiled.
Right. And I will say some of those companion characters will matter more depending on the type of character you pick. And that's all I'll say that. But basically it's, to transpose genres once again, it's your RPG silent protagonist setup, or rather a JRPG protagonist. To bring a game we were talking in the writer's room about, Chrono Trigger is a good example. You know, Chrono's silent, but the personality comes out in your companion characters.
And which companions you have with you determines what information you get in certain scenes.
Right. Granted, in this case, you're also talking via dialogue boxes. You know, that's kind of where your character is going to come from most of the time. Not all of the time, but once again, that would be spoilers. I'm like, also, there are multiple endings. And yeah, those are...
As to be expected of a game with multiple beginnings and various middles.
Right. I think there are like 3 major endings. I'm not sure of minor variations, but, you know, those are more predicated on your moral choices than anything else. So yeah, this game has I hesitate to say morality system, but it does have those choices that matter thing going on here. Like, so given all that into perspective, this game has a lot of replay value, you know, especially for a point-and-click adventure game. Like, because you're not going to see everything probably the first couple of times, if I'm being honest. Like, no, it would... like, at
there
least...
are literally 3 different beginnings, so...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like... I don't... It's like... And also, there are 2 genders. Like, you can be a male or a female. So... And how much of a difference that makes... I can't talk about it in some respects, but in others, not much, because, and this did come up, because this is a Watch Dogs game, there's a commentary track. They were toying with the idea of having romance options with the various companion characters, but they decided to nix that because of storyline elements. That would not work. Like, and the overall structure of the game, I suppose I can describe it in vague terms, is, you know, once you hook up with the Unavowed, you are charged with solving various cases of a supernatural nature. Like, and...
I don't think this is too much spoilers, because it's like in the description of the game, but the inciting incident is that you were possessed by a demon a while ago and did some bad shit.
Yeah, and I suppose what I can tell you is the cases that you're on are going to pertain to the said malfeasance of this demonic entity. Like, yeah, basically you're cleaning up messes that your other self committed.
That were committed with your body.
Yeah, I'm like... I really want to say more, but I can't because...
Oh, I'm sure it's not as simple as the boilerplate text says it is. But...
No. There's a lot more going on here. I didn't get a chance to finish the game because, well, here's the thing. This is a new adventure game.
There aren't guides to make it quick.
There are guides, but here's the thing. There aren't guides for every character build or character selection. Like, I did find a guide, and I think I could have gotten a walkthrough provided, but here's the thing. By the time... When I got to the stuck point, it was the weekend, so I really couldn't request that.
Yeah, and it's pretty normal for a game like this to have a few puzzles that are just a pain.
Yeah, I'm like, that's like... Though overall, I will say the puzzle design is on the simplistic side.
I think you cut out.
Adam?
Yay, Skype.
We'll wait for Adam to get back.
Hello?
Hello.
Yay.
Puzzle design is on the simplistic side was the last thing we heard.
Okay. Because it kind of has to be. Because remember, you have to design around a certain like at least 3 characters, because 3 characters is your party,
Mm-hmm.
and certain and each character brings their own unique um, thing to the proceedings. Once again, if you want to see an example of this, Maniac Mansion, the original Maniac Mansion had the 3 characters unique fields.
And then, depending on which one you had, there were different solutions that were or weren't available to you.
Right. And like the guide I found had a solution that wasn't pertaining to the characters I had.
Ah, that's no fun.
Yes.
Mm.
And I couldn't find a guide that did have the characters that I had. Like,
So it's your fault for picking unpopular characters. I'm kidding.
Yeah. And like, mind you, there is an internal hint system. You can ask your characters what to do next, and generally they'll be pointing you in the right direction, though not always. Once again, this particular area, I'm honestly not sure if I'm stuck by accident or if I just haven't figured it out yet. Because I saw the pathway forward, I'm like, but I'm not getting that dialogue text there. So I don't know. And, anyway, the point of order, and given the amount of characters and the amount of everything you see in this game, this is going to take a lot longer than your typical Watch It Eye experience. Like, I'm venturing on 18 hours, and I'm not done. Like, and this is like about the typical runtime for your first adventure. Like, yeah, subsequent adventures are going to be shorter because there's less to see, but there's still much more to see here than your usual adventure game. And that is certainly something to keep in mind. And in terms of other production values, the voice acting is first rate. It's like there might be some voices you recognize in this, like Logan Cunningham, although he's less prominent than some of the other Watch It Eye games, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of New York voice actors here, but apparently they did their first remote recordings for this one, like for Eli. His voice actor was, I think he moved to Burbank, so they had to do recordings over Skype, and it worked well for the most part. Like, I think like the only recording that I thought was of low quality was of a kid who kind of sounded like they were in a tin can, but that was the exception, not the rule. Like, the music, likewise, is very sophisticated and works as nice background music. Like, sometimes I just kept the game open for the music.
Yeah, they're usually pretty good with the music.
It's like light jazz, kind of. It definitely depends on the scene. Like, more intense scenes will have more intense music. So and to answer, I don't think the soundtrack can be purchased independently or anything like that. At least not now. And I
Actually, I think it can. It's $3 on Steam.
Oh, because I'm like, thinking about it. I don't think I could be wrong. Well, let me just pull up the Unavowed Steam page.
Yes, there is a soundtrack.
Oh, hey.
Yep.
So, that worked out. Yeah. So, pricing. Unavowed is clocking in at time of recording $13.49. That's a 10% discount, which is expiring August 15th. Yeah, that kind of dates the video here, but I'm like, regular price is $14.99, and yeah, the soundtrack is $3. Unfortunately, there is not a bundle here. I'm like, So if you want the soundtrack, you're gonna have to buy it on your own. Unfortunate, no doubt, but you know, it's not too much money to get the soundtrack. And yeah, I think this is a soundtrack well worth getting. Like as far as the game, honestly, for $15 seems a little underpriced. I know I don't say that too often, but honestly, I think this game could have stood at $20, maybe 25 even. But yeah, $15 and or $13. Yeah, it's well worth getting at that price. Um, Also worth noting, this is probably going to come to mobile devices at some point. I I'm not. Let me see if it's. I don't think it's on mobile yet, but Jedi Games have made it to um, mobile before. Yeah, yeah, it's not on iOS or Android yet, but I'm sure it will come at some point. Um, let's see. Yeah, I think that's all I am comfortable with talking about. I could definitely talk about more, but I don't want to spoil things. Like I
Yeah,
do.
there's an interesting plot going on here.
Yeah, there's a lot. You know, there's not just. This is not a game that's really good on its plot level, but I think what really makes it is its character dynamics. That's the real centerpiece. Uh, and yeah, you should definitely check it out as soon as possible. Um, Definitely one of the better games I've played. 8 out of 10. All right, and so that'll do it for the Fragments of Silicon reviews. So coming up on the week ahead, on Tuesday, we'll be welcoming back to the program Ross from Ghostlight. Been a while, been a long while since we had him on the program. Looking forward to that. I wonder if he's actually watched our reviews of the games we've reviewed from Ghostlight. Like, well, it's like, well, but yeah. So we'll be talking about Sorcery Saga, and we'll be talking about Mary Skelter Nightmares. Like, and coming up on Wednesday, August 15th, Andrew Should-Dice of Finji. We're going to be talking about the game Tunic. Really looking forward to that. And then after that, we'll take our 2-week break and we'll be back for season 10. All right. So until next time, I wish you good gaming.